Phil
Hi
Lempert.
Phil, namaste and good evening,
Mhm,
good morning.
mhm.
Good
Namaste.
morning.
Namaskar, namaskar, namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you for including me in the discussion today.
Well, welcome and share a little bit about who you are and where you're at, and let's get this talk going.
Sure. Well, I'm Phil Lempert. Here in the U.S., I'm known as the supermarket guru. I've spent my entire life on the editorial side, if you would, talking about supermarkets, about new products. I visit normally between 10 and 15 supermarkets every week. Talk to consumers about it. Right now, I'm visiting only about 5 a week. We're seeing all kinds of regulations going in. And I've written a bunch of books and was food trends editor for the Today Show. And basically, I'm the source, if you would, here on the supermarket trends and what's going on right now with COVID-19, as we're doing a twice a week webcast, if you would, on Facebook Live.
No, and I think that educating people right now and having this talk, because everything we're talking about right now is food. Supermarket is, all about food. We're talking about building the immunity system up and how we maintain that immunity system. How can we get the foods available for immunity systems? But also, I think just like we had an ISO 9000, or just we've had regulations for many, many different things over the years. We're going to have a new regulation for food and for grocery stores to make it safer. One of the things I've noticed is just entry into a grocery store, right, has completely changed. But I'd like to see one of those. We've seen these new inventions of a spray sanitizer where they spray humans from head to toe, and they're I supposedly COVID-19 fresh when they finish, and they can do 28 per minute. I would like to see all the carts done that way. I mean, right now I have a little country grocery store up the road. I call it a little country grocery store. It's small compared to the big ones, and so I don't mind going there. I feel like we're a tight knit community, and we kind of know what's going on here. But I'm very careful. But they wash every cart down. They're washing every cart down for us before we go in. They took away a lot of the carts. Only one person every so many minutes is allowed into the store, which I think is very good practice, right? It makes me feel more comfortable. But we're going to have to see some regulations for food transport. The food, what do you foresee? Because this is what you do.
Well, the entire supply chain from farm to the time that we go and buy a product on the grocery store shelves is going to change. There's no question about it. At the farm level, we're going to have to see a lot more indoor farming. We're going to have to see, a lot more changes that take place right now. What you've got is you've got a lot of farms, especially here in California, where I'm located, that just have produce rotting in the ground because the workforce is either ill or doesn't want to admit that they're ill, and they work in crews. So if one person reports a sickness, that entire crew is let go without pay, and most of them don't have healthcare workers. The second problem that we have is we've got a very aging truck driver force, and nobody wants to be a truck driver. No kid grows up and says, "Hey, I want to be a truck driver." And part of the problem is too, there was legislation put in a couple of years ago that limits the amount of hours that a truck can operate. So as a result, and truck drivers get paid by the haul, by the trip, not by the hour. So they can't go 14 or 16 hours. So they're making a lot less money. When it comes to the grocery store, as you point out, first of all, there have been companies for probably about 10, 15 years who have been trying to sell cart washers, if you would, that are in the back of the parking lot, and they just run through, similar to a car wash, those cart washers. And we're seeing more stores doing that. We're also in Los Angeles County here under a regulation that when you go into a store, you must be wearing a mask. And a lot of them have security guards outside. They've put up plexiglass dividers between the cashier and the customer. They're sanitizing. They're using, antimicrobial belts now at the cash register. A lot of changes are going to take place, and the entire supermarket experience is going to change. But probably the most important thing, and you mentioned this, is from a self standpoint. Not only do we want to wear the masks, but we want to be as healthy as possible. And that relies on immunity. And what we're seeing, and a lot of people are not really talking about, is let's heal ourselves from within. So we've got immunity boosting foods. Citrus, for example, is the number one. Then we've got leafy greens and so on. And in fact, Spoon Guru, a UK company, has now created immunity tags in their system so that you can go online, whether it's at Woolworths in Australia, whether it's on Tesco in the UK, other retailers around the world, and you can find those foods very easily that can build up your immunity. That's critical for us to be able to ward off any kind of virus, any kind of flu. And we forget that it starts with, our bodies and how we're going to deal with this.
It doesn't matter what virus, and you just said that, and that's what I've been telling people. This whole building immunity system isn't just about COVID-19. This is about health in general, because we don't know what's coming down next, right? We've seen corona in various different forms. We've seen the influenza. The reason that this is so different than others is that it spread so fast, right? And there is a very, very high death rate with it, but mainly with people with low immune systems.
Exactly.
So one of the things I noticed when there was a run on food and toilet paper and everything, everybody was going crazy. Fortunately, I saw we have this great global board of advisors, right? And every week we're required to be on a meeting, and we started talking about COVID long before the US shut down. And I started hearing about the rest of the world shutting down. And one of the things we heard about was a rush on toilet paper, where my first, everybody's joking and laughing about it. I go, oh my gosh, people are planning to shut down like for a long time.
Right.
So immediately I went and stocked up, while US was still going, should we, shouldn't we? Yeah, screw that. I went and stocked up. But when we see a rush like this happen, there's a lot of bad things that happen. One thing, we should have been rest assured that that a lot of products were still always going to be in the warehouse, right? Our warehouses are well stocked. Mm-hmm. But we saw rushes on foods. They're now having to throw away milk. We've seen them where they're having to milk, which is very sad, because milk is loaded with vitamin D, which is extremely good for the immune system. I can't get I don't like milk, but my body craves it.
My grandfather's a dairy farmer, so I don't accept that. Like milk.
Okay. For whatever reason, ever since a child, I've never, I think I got sick one day and I blamed it on milk, but I drink it every day. Don't get me wrong. No. I thoroughly believe in it. My body craves it. So I drink past whatever I don't like because my body craves it. But vitamin D is good for many things, especially if you're a cancer patient. It's very good to in helping you not just feel good immunity wise, but happy, right? It's and B's, your vitamin B12. But what I noticed when the rush was happening was all the fresh produce was going to waste. What are the grocery stores doing with that?
Well, here's our problem. First, let me comment about something that's happening that's very good with those dairies that have to dump the milk because it's perishable. Feeding America, the group that really distributes food to all the food banks, most of the food banks in the country, they're actually buying that milk and getting it to the food banks. So that's something that's very important that's